Hey gang, so today's a sponsored video by GEEONE, and this time they've sent through the Brotherhood of Blades. This is a very, very unique slider. I tend to get some of the crazier ones. This is in the shape of a sword sitting in a scabbard, and there's different liners you can use on it, magnetic, mechanical. Comes with this really cool extra purchase though, of this little ratchet accessory. So there's a lot to talk about with this. Current price is $160 or $159.99 for the just for the Brotherhood of Blades, and then the accessory ratchet is another $59.99. So you can get those at GEEONE and use the code FidgetFix for the Fidget Fix for 10% off. All right, that's enough of my talk, and let's get this under the camera and have a look. It's the Brotherhood of Blades. Let's go. Okay, gang, here we go with the Brotherhood of Blades. Now, this actually has the accessory, the ratchet attachment, connected to it. GEEONE sent me both items, and I was actually thinking about doing two videos, like one about the Brotherhood of Blades, and then, hey, look, I got the ratchet accessory, let's put that on. But, you know, I don't think this is interesting enough to be its own video. So I'm just going to do it with both, but we're going to take the whole thing apart. We're going to take apart the Brotherhood of Blades, and we're going to take apart the ratchet accessory. So this is blackened titanium and then stainless steel. So the weight is pretty, it's pretty good. A little heavy. It's a little heavy in the hand, but, you know, unless you were, I don't know, going all titanium or something, it's probably always going to have some heft to it. Now, the first thing I want to show you is what you get with it. So you get an insert, right? A magnetic insert with the balls, and we get spare parts. Now, the ratchet also comes with a little bag of accessories of spare parts, really, a couple springs, balls, little caps. And the ratchet also comes with this little Allen key. They're really, really awkward to use. I always appreciate that they're included, but they're really, really a pain to use. And the Brotherhood of Blades comes with this little tiny torque screw. So this is interesting. These little attachments here. Now, when I say it comes with a magnetic attachment, it doesn't actually, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. It really just comes with these two attachments that are mechanical and magnetic, and then you get to decide which one you want to use. So let's take this apart, and we'll switch out the different attachments. Right now I have the spacing on this one is inside, and so we can't actually see it because it's sort of underneath, like the ball is being pushed up into this little groove inside here. Now, you know what? Let's just take this out of the bag. What are we doing? What are we doing, Sean? Why are we making it harder for people? So I've got magnetic here. Okay. So let's put this to our little tray. So we have two of these inserts. One, as you can see, has a certain spacing, right? So this is like the finer mechanical style. It's a lot more like a zipper. And the one inside has like 3 spaces. So it's a little bit more clicky, like, as opposed to this full-on zipper. So we are going to take this apart, and I'm going to show you. Oh, and then, of course, I say of course, like you already know, but, you know. And then what you can also do, and again, I'll have to explain this once it's put together, but then we can also add magnets in here and turn this into a magnetic slider. And it's a bit of an odd one. So I have to kind of show you as we're doing it. It makes a little bit more sense. The first thing I want to address, though, is how to use this. Now, and when I say how to use it, obviously, we all know you take it, you push it. I have found, though, and maybe this is just my skin type, right? It's a little dry, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but the pushing on the blades, on the handle here, I find a little tricky because this has, and I'll see if I can put it perfectly down like that. It almost looks like the barrel. rifle or something. But this actually has a curve to it on this part of the guard, I guess. So, you know, when you close it, you've got like a guard on both sides. So what happens is when you push into this, your thumb, see how my thumb moves? Like, I'm actually trying not to move it, but my thumb wants to slide right off. So that part will probably not affect all people. I just find I don't have a lot of grip in my thumb on here for whatever reason. And when I push, my thumb slides. Had this have been flat, like a flat edge, I think that would have been much easier to push off against. So that part, I would like to see. I would love to see that changed. If they ever came out with another version of this, definitely I'd like to see that as a straight angle so that your thumb can just catch right in there and push. What I've started doing is putting my thumbnail inside right on the kind of like the top edge here. And that works really well. It's just not how it was intended to work. And you can see, like, it's not like it's a struggle to open it. I'm not like, oh my God, how does this work? I can't get it to work. Oh, my thumbs. It works fine. It's just not perfect. Because this ledge is great for pushing down on. So if this was a straight edge, then both your thumbs could work at the same time. And instead, your finger kind of sits down here. And so this just, I don't know, it's just kind of tough to get a grip, I find. So that's the one thing I'd like to see changed, is something like that thought out a little better. And I know, like, we've got this little like jimping in here, kind of like you see on a knife blade or something, but it's so minimal that it's not really effective. So that would be the other alternative, is just make that higher, make this a better grip. And then of course you could just sit and play with it like this if you want. And maybe as a desk fidget, right? It's not really how it's designed though. So while this is all put together, let's also talk about the ratchet. There you go. I'm talking about the ratchet. That's literally, that's its purpose. Okay. So we have the ratchet. There's this little bead here on the end. And I honestly can't tell you what this is meant to be. I do not think this is meant to be a glass breaker. Maybe it is. Let's look at what's inside. And again, the ratchet does not come with the Brotherhood of Blades. These are two separate pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is, oh, this is the other thing, is you have to actually open up the initial, like the scabbard, to insert the ratchet accessory into it. You can't just put it on, it has to open up first. So let's open it up. Let's take the provided torque, little tiny torque screwdriver. Sorry, I know you guys can't see that with my hand, but okay. And we got one more. So here's the thing, when you take this apart, the concern is always, oh, things are gonna go flying because I'm gonna open this up and things are gonna pop out. This one's a little different because the pressure is being put up into here. So the springs and balls are not being pushed onto the sides, they're being pushed upwards, which means the spring and ball is somewhat protected in there. You still wanna be careful, obviously, when you lift it off. Okay, now, oops, I gestured the wrong way. It's this way. So here's the inside, right? Nice, simple. It's number 242. I'm just gonna put that over here, and then let's look at how this is put together. Now, you can see right away, comes right off. We have this little pin. Now, the pin is very important because the pin is what connects the ratchet. So you have to have the pin in there. Now without it, you don't need the pin at all, obviously, but it's also a good place just to keep it, even if you don't have the ratchet on, which if you own the ratchet, of course you're going to want to keep the pin on there. But for now, let's not worry about that. Now I'm going to keep these little pieces inside the cup, but because of that, I'm going to remove the magnets because we all know what happens to little metal pieces and magnets. Okay, let's get this back off. So we see the plate here. Let's put that right there. All right, this is where this gets a little finicky. Now, I'm going to show you the shape. So when you look at this shape, you can see that the track sits here. Now, if I show you on the other side, okay, the track sits like this. And there is holes inside the top of this piece. And inside is a spring and a ball, and it's pushing it outwards. And that ball is running along this track right in here, okay? So if I just move this over for now. So this is where we want to be a little careful when we take it out. Again, it's not a huge amount of force, but it's still a spring and a ball. But you can see, so I pulled that out very easily, and there's the ball. Okay, and inside, there's a spring. Now here's the tricky part. This is the one that I almost forgot about the last time I pulled this out, or actually I should say I almost forgot about it. I just almost didn't notice. You got a little pin. Here, let me put the ball. So the cup. So we also have, let me get my little tweezers here. We also have inside on each side of here, and this is what you really have to be careful of because these are super small, these little pins. And these little pins, they go on each side. This took me a second to figure out when I took this part the first time, because there's never any like instructions for these. But when I took this part apart the first time, these pins fell out, and I was like, what the hell? Where do these pins go? And then I looked very closely inside here, and I noticed these little tracks. Okay, that track and this track is where the pins sit. So the pins slide along this little track, and that's what prevents this piece from flying out completely, because the pins go in here, and then they slide along that track, and so you can only go so far. Here we go, right? So if it was here, you could see, imagine my pin is on this side and it's sitting this track. So when I get out to here, it stops. So that's what catches it. If that pin wasn't there, this could just come out completely. And who knows, maybe that's something you like to do. Maybe you want to come out completely. I wouldn't, because the minute you clear a certain area, the ball is going to go flying out, right? Because the ball sits down in here. So we currently have, I currently have this with the much wider spaced insert. Of the two, this one is more of a zipper ratchet. This one is more of like a, like I said, like a more of a clicky ball. Now get this out. Why are you being so, there we go, you're coming. Okay. We did the wider spaced one. So there, let's do the zipper spaced first so you can hear it, and then I'll go to the magnets. Now what you can do is put in Loctite in the pin, and I think you would probably like never need to take it out because it is annoying. It can be quite annoying with it falling out like this. Now everything is always a little harder to do on camera. I shouldn't say a little, a lot. But if we have this in here, you know, I find sometimes too, this is a little gross, but a bit of a trick. If you lick it, put a tiny bit of like saliva on there, it'll stick in while you're working with it. I know it's not super sexy, but it works. Okay, so we only have one deep hole in here. So we put the spring in, and we get our ball. Now this is something, if you have these types of tweezers, they come in all different tips, and I use the thin ones for the springs. And I've learnt over time to just use the flat ones for the balls so that they're less inclined to go flying. Sometimes the thin ones just kind of pinch the ball so hard that then it just shoots off. Okay, so I now have the pin on one side, and I've got the zipper plate. I call it the zipper plate. And I know that my pin, if I hold this down, my pin is still in there, right? Right. Let's see. My pin is right here, and I want that to go into this part of the track. I'm also holding the ball down. Why don't I just do this? Okay, I'm gonna take the insert out first. There. That was an important part I forgot to talk about. Let's take the insert out. So, pin, ball, spring. So then with the insert, I can just kind of push it in to place. Okay. Like that. Come on, get in there. There we go. Okay. So now we have our stop pin, and then our last plate goes on. And that pin will go into this groove. Now I'm going to do this without the accessory for now. Now here's the other thing. Sometimes you have to give it a little push because the insert track lifts a tiny bit. So this is much more mechanical. Now I'm not going to screw it together because I'm about to open it again anyways to do the magnets. So that's pretty fun. That's always got a good sound to it. Okay. And then let's go for the magnets. So as we open this up, now that we remember what it looks like on the inside, we've got a plate. We know the pin is here. Now in this case, it's simpler to just take the piece out first and then take the insert out. Knowing that the ball is here, I always just kind of keep my finger down, ready for it. So that way, when it comes out, I can feel it with my finger. And again, we're not talking about a ton of pressure here. So let's just, because we are not even using the ball or the spring, I'm just going to get rid of them. So I'm also feeling here to make sure that these two little, call them catch pins, are inside, which they are. So with either of these inserts, we can use the magnets. Now in this case, it doesn't matter what direction you go as long as you're starting from scratch. So I'm just going to go, I got a stack, I got one direction, and that's it. And then I know that if I stick them underneath, I know the direction that I have to put these guys in, right? So if I just do that to make sure everything is together, then I can slide that off and just slide it over to the next hole. So there we go. So now I've got magnets here and I've got magnets on this side. Now the difference is with the magnets can just go in like that, because I'm not really holding down the ball, so I don't have to really worry about that. And then that's it. Now, this is kind of an interesting action with the magnets in it, so I will close this one up to sort of show you guys. Okay. There we go. So, and left, I mean, obviously this is an ambidextrous slider, but you can see how, again, it's sort of specific with the magnets. Like you do have to hold it in a specific way. It does have a really nice feel to it though. When you're kind of just doing it manually like this, it feels nice. So it's kind of fun. Again, you can see though it sort of fails sometimes unless I'm straight up. And again, because it needs gravity to sort of, to start the process of it falling backwards, right? Like, so You could flick it, but you're like really forcing the flick. And remember, those little metal pins are inside, preventing this from sliding all the way out. Now, I should also mention in here, spots for tritium tubes, if that's your thing. Got here, here, here. I'm not a glow guy, but it's there if you want it. So we have the ratchet. Now this comes with, here we go. This comes with this little sort of multi-Allen tool here with these two different sort of heads on it, a flat and a torque. I hate working with these things. I find them really, really awkward to use. So I'm not going to use that. Instead, I'm using my own torque and my own flathead. Now, here is the thing. There is an order to which you need to take these things out. So we're going to go through that order. The first thing is there is this little torque head, very deep on both sides. And what that has is a spring and a ball inside it. And from each side, they're pushing onto this ring. So the ring actually has dimples all around the faces and the ball is being pushed into it. So to get this out, that's one side. So we can see we've got spring. Oh, and they're all magnetized, of course. So we got spring, screw, and ball. And the screw kind of acts as this, the pressure, right? So you can see the flat pushes against the spring, which pushes against the ball. So that's one side. Let's get the other side out. So we have the same thing. We have the ball, the spring, and the other screw. Now this won't take long. I just want to walk you guys through it in case you ever have to take this apart. Now let's go to, I had all of this stuff laid out, but I cannot find my other bit at the moment. So you know what, we'll use the tool. Okay, so we've got the flat, and these screws act as the, just kind of the axle, really just the I think it's the axle, right? That's just holding. Oh, come on. Oh, one side is the screw, the other side is the base. So you obviously can't turn the base. You have to find which side is the screw, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, or the pin. So you see how this pin works is it's kind of like a spinner, right? Like a button on a spinner. So we've got the pin and we've got the hole the pin goes into. So you have to unscrew the pin side. And then here, we just have our little wheel, and you can see along the wheel, we have a cap on each side, and the cap is keeping the little tiny bearing in place. So I put that in. I actually have two bearings, one for each side. And then this little cap is where the balls run around from each side. And that's it. That's all this accessory is. So if we just put it back and we start with our cap. Now, what's important is it does matter what side this goes on, I believe, because one side of the screw has a tiny little edge to it. The cap does, because it lets it lock. So this is might be a little weird, a little tricky here. But you see it, there's this tiny little groove. And so that's kind of specific, so that when it gets inside here, it won't start spinning as the screw tries to tighten. I always forget which one it is, but I believe that's the side. And you'll know because if you turn while putting pressure on it, it'll drop in. So that's not the side. So then if I go to this side, there. So if you heard that little snap, it just kind of clicked into place. So that's important to know because it needs to sit somewhat flush. If it's not sitting flush, you've got it in the wrong side. So then we close this up first. And make sure this is good and tight. Okay, that's it. So now the wheel's in. Now, also, you can take the balls out and just have this little spinning wheel if you want to, which is kind of cool. That might be your thing without the ratchet. But let's say it's not. So, with one side open, we just drop in a ball, drop in a spring, okay. Now, of course, we're dealing with super, super small pieces here, so this gets really kind of finicky. And once you have it lined up, it's so small though, it just wants to, it's like, where are you going? Take me with you. Okay, so now we're inside, and that's it. So you can see here, I can't even turn this right now because I pushed this all the way in. So I gotta loosen it. As soon as you loosen it, then we're good. And then the last step is we have this. We put in our pin. So I get my pin in here. Set it on. And that's it. We are in business. Oh, my little one right here. So we've got one screw in. We've got our second screw in, and we have the third. And then once this is done, that's really it. Everything is in place. Get these tools out of the way, and that's it. It's all put together. We've got our little mechanical zipper. In this case, I like the zipper. That's not a very nice final shot, Sean. Let's clean that up. So we've got our ratchet, and we've got our little zipper attachment, or zipper mode, I guess. So that's it, gang. That is the Brotherhood of Blades, and this has been a very long breakdown, I know, and I'm sorry. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff to cover with this. Okay, thanks for watching.